Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and blind reviews. So today I am reviewing Grown by Tiffany D Jackson, and I do give some content warnings later on in the video, so keep an eye out for those because I think those are very important. So keep an eye out for the content warnings I give. In the meantime, before I let you go watch this video, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you're aware when I release videos, usually 3 to 4 times a week. Also, consider checking out my writing. I have a blog linked in the description below. I share creative writing and book reviews as well, so you can find both there. Or if you're interested, feel free to pre-order the first volume of my fantasy series, Child of Death. Daughter of Death is the title, and it follows Vivienne, who after 8 years is finally discovered by the mortal realm. This is after 8 years of not being discovered. So she is a half deity, a daughter of a ruler of the dead and a mortal woman. So now she and her unusual family have to adjust to this new change. If you are interested in pre-ordering the book or reading it in general, you can find it in Smashwords, Apple, Barnes and Noble, and Kobo. Also, if you want to read, it's not on Amazon right now. It should hopefully be there soon when my distributor gets access to Amazon. So yeah, and if you want to read my book early, I am currently running a pre-sale on Smashwords. So if you buy it, you'll be able to get it early. It will be available until the release date, December 26, 2023. That's when it will end. So if you want to read it early, feel free to participate in the pre-sale. If you participate in the pre-sale and you have the time and option to do so, please consider leaving a review for my book. It is very helpful to authors. With that, thank you so much for your consideration in checking out my content and buying my book. And enjoy the video. So let me start by okay, let's see. I think I put my brightness back up. Sorry. So let me start by giving some content warnings here for sexual assault. It's not on page, but definitely implied. There is some somewhat explicit physical abuse. There is psychological abuse. There is I'm not sure if this is the proper term, but kind of like parentification, where as a teenager or as the older child, you sort of become the parent to either your younger siblings or your own parent. In this case, I think I'm describing it correctly. I'll have to do slightly more research. If anything comes up, I'll fix it in my intro. So contours that there's also some discussion of racism. It's very light, but it is. So yeah, that is an overview of some content warnings I can think of right now. Yeah, that is an overview of the content warnings I can think of. So okay, we are reviewing another Tiffany D Jackson book. That's what we're talking about today, and that is called and it is Grown. So here is the synopsis, and yeah. Author Tiffany D Jackson delivers another ripped from the headlines mystery that exposes horrific secrets hiding behind the limelight and embraces the power of a young woman's voice. When legendary R&B artist Corey Fields spots Enchanted Jones at an audition, her dreams of being a famous singer take flight until Enchanted wakes up with blood on her hands and zero memory of the previous night. Who killed Corey Fields? Before there was a dead body, Enchanted's dreams had turned into a nightmare because behind Corey's charm and star power was a controlling dark side. Now he's dead. The police are at the door, and all signs point to Enchanted. Oh, another content warning. The sexual assault is technically toward teenage girls. So, yeah. Pedophilia? Yeah, there is a rape assault toward minors in both ends. It's very heavy. Um Honestly, I kind of expected a heavy topic when picking up a a Tiffany D Jackson book. I kind of expect the heavy topics. So yeah, just know that. Um, so uh, what are my thoughts here? I like I enjoyed this book. Honestly, every time I think Jackson writes a book, I have a hard time figuring out what to say because they're very well written, and um, a lot of the subject matter described, I don't feel like I have the always the proper research to talk about it, and so I usually choose not to discuss them in detail, but I discuss the story in general. That's what I try to do. The writing, as always, the prose is amazing. It's accessible and really easy to read. What's interesting about this book, so in the last book I reviewed by Tiffany D Jackson, it was a book with like multi-formatted. It was like I'm sorry, not multi-formatted, a mixed media book. It was recommended to me, it was pitched to me as, since you like Sadie, you probably would like this book, which they're right. It was The Weight of Blood. I'll link the review below if I can. Um, so that's kind of how it was it was pitched to me, and it makes sense because that is a thing that is something that I read and enjoy. So it actually makes sense that it would be pitched this way to me. So yeah. What else? Oh, okay. So so that's good. The pacing of the story is the reason I mentioned this, by the way, is because this book has a similar style, but not really. It's written kind of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where there will be random like short chapters that will have, like, instead of like regular chapters and regular narrative chapters, it'll be like one chapter will be like a group chat, and they'll be like discussing, and they'll be like texting. In another chapter, it will be like the transcript for the interrogation. So it's written similar to that, but in like a chapter format. And I like it. It was fun. It was fun to read. It reminds me of, in that way, of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, the author, Douglas Adams, will take chapters to just talk about the smallest world building thing, even just give a passage of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like the original book that they're following. So it's one of those things that I enjoyed. I think the pacing is very good. It builds up the story really well. It's a slow burn kind of thing. A favorite. I enjoyed it so much. The themes discussed are, again, very heavy themes. There is a discussion of there's not necessarily a discussion, but there is, of course, implied the sexual assault. There is discussion on the singing career and like the spotlight, as well as the one theme I related to was the parentification theme a little. I related. That was hard. That was hard to read. I relate to that theme because I kind of understand what it's like to be a teenager, but being in charge of a younger or your younger siblings. I do know what that's like. I basically did that for my younger brother, so I know what that's like, and it's hard. So relate, and I don't like it. It gets sad. Um, but I enjoyed it. I also interesting things that I thought I wanted to bring this up, but I do want to give a content warning for like because I'm going to be talking about false confessions, so I do want to give a content warning for that. Um, I may be going too far with the interpretation. Maybe the allusions were not meant to be drawn this way, but in this book, I did see allusions to the idea the a coerced confession. There is coercion in this book, definitely, when it comes to Corey Fields and coercing coercing it Enchanted to do stuff. But I did see allusions to false confessions by the end of the book in the interrogations um, of this book. I did see that. I mean, she definitely alludes to the possible. She definitely alludes to it in a way. I think when she talks about the fact that depending on different situations, officers will discount the truth that someone is telling you about. They will discount the truth as a guise of trying to find the truth. So the way this kind of works here, uh, content warning, for uh, like it, I guess I would say um, racism, basically minority in general. Um, what happens is in this book, her when she talks, some of her when she's interrogated, some of the things she says are discounted by the police officer. For example, one of the things is that she talks about her friend Gab, and she begins. The officers are like, there's no one by that name, and it turns out there's no one by that name in the school, so they discount what she says, and they kind of start making her believe that she might be seeing things. So they discount a lot of what she says and turn it um, into something else. They will turn it into something else. When even the way that Corey treated her, it's like, did you like consensually have sex with him and things like that, even though she is a minor. So it is a lot to definitely a lot it's very heavy in that area. So they do that. This brought allusions, I think, to false confessions, but also to the idea of when women's issues are discounted, especially during sexual assault cases. When they trigger warning for that. I wasn't planning to discuss these topics. I really wasn't, and I'm not planning to fully discuss them into them. But especially in these cases where they're discussed, and a lot of the time the justice system basically either you are not believed by the justice system because of lack of evidence, or they just don't believe you, and they will imply that you did something by the way you're dressed or the way that you acted, and it's a whole mess. If you really want to know more about it, I just suggest reading Know My Name by Chanel Miller. So, yeah. But when it comes to false confessions, I did feel at the end, though, it is alluded to as a lot of it for me. But when it comes to false confessions, let's assume that the ending didn't go as planned, and that the person that murdered Corey wasn't necessarily caught, like the real person that murdered him wasn't caught. And instead, what happens is that Enchanted is the one who gets, caught. This story has a happy ending, but the allusion I saw to false confessions was the way that false confessions work. If you have not watched, if you don't know what a false confession is, it's basically a false confession is when someone confesses to a crime they did not commit, usually through coercion. So the way it kind of works is that you end up in a place, one way or another. The police coerces you to some detective or something coerces you to confess. to something you did not do. And a lot of the times it's usually because, quote unquote, it would better, because they tell you they have evidence. And the fact is, sometimes they're lying. One of the things that the US law permits anyone who interrogates you to do is lie. They can lie and say that they have evidence, and they will suffer no punishment for that. So even if you're an innocent person, the best thing to do is, even when you're interrogated and you're like, I have nothing to hide, get a lawyer, ask for a lawyer, and just stay silent and follow your, I think, in certain areas, what your lawyer would say. Because even if you are innocent and have nothing to hide, it doesn't really matter. That is the mistake that is made, from my understanding of in my research on like crime in general. The mistake that is made is when you think you're innocent, you have nothing to hide, so you don't get a lawyer and you talk to them. There is nothing preventing a detective, a police officer, or anybody in general from lying to you. There is nothing preventing them from doing that. Nothing at all. They can lie to you and they will suffer no punishment. They can tell you they have evidence and it could be a lie. And you would not know, because they could lie to you. In the false confessions cases that I have seen, especially in investigation discovery, is that sometimes what happens is an innocent person ends up like in an interrogation room trying to help people, and they end up in said interrogation room trying to answer all the questions by the investigator for like 6-8 hours. No break, no eating, nothing. And at the time, especially if you're a teenager, definitely you get tired, it becomes overwhelming, it becomes exhausting, and at some point you break, and like the whole thing that you're thinking is, if I tell them what they want to know, I get to go home. Your thought is, I want to go home. I'm just going to tell them what they want to know, and I'm just going to do this. And they can tell you that you get to go home if you do that. But then you get arrested and you get charged for a crime you may not have committed. And and the evidence that they say they have, a lot of your confession is admissible to court, from my understanding. I could be wrong, but from my understanding of the cases I have seen is that they use the confession as part of their evidence because they confess. And some of the things, and the interesting thing is that they will feed you information of things that they know, and it's like they themselves would kind of tell you the story, and they will, even if they could coerce you with questions, they can manipulate you with questions. And it is a horrible thing that happens, and that probably still continues to happen. It is a horrible thing that happens. People have been falsely accused of things and spent years in jail and have lost decades of their life to jail because they falsely confessed because of the neglect of the investigators. And that is who we need to blame, the justice system. That is something I saw, and I feel like that was something that could have happened in this story. That Enchanted could have been forced to confess. Thankfully, she had very supportive parents and got a lawyer and at some point and all that stuff. And also, thankfully, this is fiction and not real life. Although it does allude to real life things, definitely fiction. And it is an interesting thing to think about, I guess, because it definitely gave me allusions to that. And I remember doing a research paper on this, and it was interesting. It's interesting to know. I find false confessions to be something worth studying. And I don't know, it just gave me these illusions, and I just wanted to talk about that and just suggest that if anything comes up, get a lawyer as soon as possible. There's no reason not to. And just be aware that they can lie to you, I guess. So that's my true crime self. I can't believe I made it so sad. Let's go on a happier note. The characters are great. I highly enjoyed following Enchanted. These characters are all three-dimensional, and their issues make a lot of sense, and they explore many things, and I think the arcs are very satisfactory. I highly enjoyed them. I really enjoyed especially the parents arcs. I think those are fun. Those are great. overall, great story, a masterpiece. Well, another masterpiece by Tiffany D. Jackson. 5 stars. Let me know your thoughts on everything I discussed and this book in the comments section below. I can't wait to see what you have to say about this. I don't know. There's so much, I think there's so much good done in this book. I just didn't think I was going to get allusions to false confessions. Who would have thought? Anyway, I'm off. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. And if you're going to reveal spoilers, let me know. Let us all know if you're going to reveal spoilers. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and the review I gave. I will definitely be reading more Tiffany D. Jackson. I really like this book. So, as well as pretty much all the other books I've read from this author. So, yeah, I will definitely be reading more. So I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed my video and want to see more, and turn on the notification so that you're aware when I release videos, which is usually about 3 to 4 times a week. Check out my writing. I have a blog in the description, so you can check that out. And whichever you want to, if you want to do both, I don't know. Feel free to pre-order my book, the first volume in my fantasy series, Child of Death, Daughter of Death. So we follow Vivian, who, after 8 years of not being discovered by the mortal realm, finally is discovered. She is a half deity, the daughter of a ruler of the dead, and a mortal woman. So now she and her unusual family have to get used to this new change, and they have to adjust their lives around it. So if the premise interests you, you can find it on Apple, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Smashwords. And if you want to read my book early, I am currently running a pre-sale only available on Smashwords, where you can buy the book and get it early. This will only be available until the release date, December 26, 2023. So if you want to get it, you still have, I think, about a month or two by the time, maybe like this month and the entire month of November and most of December, from what I can see when this is going to be out. So check that out. In all the retailers I mentioned, you can find my book for 99 cents. So if you participate in the pre-sale also, and you have the time and option to do so, please consider reviewing my book. Reviews are very helpful to authors. So yeah, thank you for considering checking it out, and as well as check out my content. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, consume stories. Bye.